And then worse besides, these people, they think they're God. These people think that they're God, essentially. And that they stand on the higher morality pyramid. And that everyone needs to succumb and bow to their moral fucking, their greater good. It's for the greater good. Harassing Danny is for the greater good. Following and stalking Danny is for his own good. It's like saying, well, we're torturing this animal for its own safety, for its own good. We're following it around and bothering it for its own well-being. It's like, no, you're just sick. You're just a sick person. Power hungry. And look at the same old heads, day in and day out. They'll stand by the same places. They will not go to work. They're not drug addicts, and they're not alcoholics. These old heads, they're not drug addicts, and they're not alcoholics. They're established. They have money. They never work, though. They never work. They're clean. They're basically clean. They seem to be well rested, even though a lot of times you wonder if they're sleeping or not. Did they sleep somewhere during the day, maybe paid for by someone else? I'm not sure. Did they clean up somewhere else other than the shelter? Because a lot of these guys, you won't see them shower at the shelter, but they don't really get dirty. They don't drink. They don't use drugs. They all seem to be, oh, they just got the job, or they just got the certificate, or they just got that. But you never quite see them. They never quite leave. They never quite go to work. But they got the job. And so that tells me that these are basically confidential informants, or workers of the state, or CEOs of prison guards, who basically, they've kind of peppered into the shelters and the shelter systems to kind of be like an arm of the state within a nonprofit. It's kind of like a hijacking of the shelter system, a hijacking of the homeless shelter system by the state. The state basically said, okay, yeah, this is a nonprofit, this is charity, this is church, but fuck that. We're gonna, because some crime happened, we're gonna put our people into these things. We're gonna, and see, the shelter wouldn't allow that, and the nonprofits and the church wouldn't allow that. So, because it's a lie, you're taking up spots that should be there for the homeless people, and you're working for the state or an agency, or whether it's on the books or not, and you're taking up a spot in the shelter that's supposed to be for homeless people, because you're here to gather information. So they wouldn't do that, so what they did is they got some veterans, and like kind of retiree prison guard type, and paramilitary kind of type, and said, okay, just, ditch your apartment for whatever, we'll get you one later, or whatever, we'll set you up later. And essentially just go in and say, hey, you lost your place and you're homeless, and they have to take you in. So then that's how they infiltrated. They basically just had them legit be people without a place to go, and then they're granted entrance into the shelter. So then once they're in, they could, see who's coming and who's going and information like that, but they could also target people who they just don't like, or they just don't understand. If they wanted to, it would be easy for them to do. So if they're in there, looking for people with warrants, or looking for people who are wanted, who might use the shelter system as kind of like a cover, a place to be if they're on the run or something, or with warrants. So the people who are in to kind of keep an eye out for those people, or gather information on other pending cases, in the meantime, could target an individual who they just don't like or just don't understand, who they just simply just don't want in their town, because they deem him a troublemaker or a nuisance, or too much of a risk, this, that, and the third, whatever. Safety hazard, eyesore. So it would be easy for them to pick out such a person, target them, and essentially, basically harass them, to the point where the person, doesn't have anywhere to go, no choice, no other option, but to feel some kind of way, and then they'll use that as momentum against you. Like, oh, Danny's up in arms. Well, yeah, he's up in arms. He's just been fucking followed for months and months and months on end, and surveilled for months and months on end. Yeah, he's a little tense. He's a little up in arms. And a little pissed off, to be honest. Like, who in the fuck do these people think they are, that they could... See, and that's the problem with the gray area, is that... It's the saying, show me the man, I'll show you the crime, right? It's essentially, they could take a centimeter of truth and stretch it for miles if they wanted. Oh, this guy, he's suspicious of selling cigarettes, so we could monitor him for 50 years. It's like, no, it has to be within reason. It has to be within a certain level of reason, credibility based on the facts. It can't just be free-for-all. Like, oh, we don't like someone, so we can take this all the way to the nth degree, We could have our minions and our spies just constantly around. This is the same guy who was in the glass video of the bus station, of the bus terminal, the other day. See, and that's the thing, is that they'll live in these places. They'll house them in these places, but then they'll hang out at all the homeless spots. It's like, so wait a minute, you got a place now, and you got a job, and you're still eating at the soup kitchen? I didn't eat at the soup kitchen even when I didn't have a job. These people have jobs and apartments, still hanging out at the soup kitchen, still hanging out at the homeless spots, and they're not even homeless. That's called an informant. A state operative. Trying to gather information on others. And that's the thing, it'd be one thing if it was just gathering information on actual criminals, people actually fleeing from the law, but when they politicize this shit and say, oh, we just don't like this person because his beliefs or this and that, and then they target that person because of that, that's illegal, actually. That's illegal to do. You can't fucking target someone because they're homeless and follow them around. Who the fuck do you think you are? Are you God or something? Oh, we don't like this guy, so we're just gonna fucking, you know, have people watch him everywhere he goes, because we don't like, he's up to something. You can't, that's illegal. You can't do that. I lived in Wilkes-Barre 2015, 16, 17, and 18. And I went to the vocational school. And I've come over here pretty much my whole life. And I lived and grew up about 2 towns, 3 towns over. And the people following me around and all that, they're not even from this area. They're telling me to get out of my own area. Just by a bunch of assholes, really, just to be assholes at this point. Trying to get me to take to my own medicine, because they're on the moral high ground. They have the moral high ground. They are so superior in morality to me that I need to be taught by them how to be a good person, according to them. Even if you go to the coffee shop, you have surveillance being on tape for grabbing a coffee. Because this is them flexing their muscles. Hello.